Right, well, Mark, I was fortunate to have a really good conversation with you a few months ago, wasn't it, at Electric Studios, and you know it's really interesting. Your video piece and your talk with Mark at the studios was inspiring and good insight into your work.
Thanks.
It's predominantly foxes, badgers, and swifts.
Yeah, you get what you
Yeah.
On the label,
I mean, do you have more spirit guides?
Guys, I don't know. Well, I tend to. I'm very fortunate to live up on West Hill in Hastings. I don't know if anybody knows the area, and I do tend to focus on wildlife that I'm exposed to there. So, I mean, obviously foxes, I've got this.
But these are things that come into your garden, are they not?
They have done, yeah. I mean, for the things with the foxes is that anybody who lives in Hastings knows it's a big fox town. There's foxes everywhere, and I just became I became convinced that every time I saw one, it felt like a kind of almost like a totemic event for me that I was kind of experiencing something. So that's when I started the Sculpt project, where I make a ceramic fox. What I do when I see a fox is I make a note of its description, and then I make a ceramic version of it and glaze it to as close to what that fox looks like. And I've been doing that for about 4 years now, so I'm up to about, I'm on the 788th fox.
Right, okay, yeah. So what was your ambition for that? Get them up to?
Well, no, not really. Not really. I did think that. I did think I'm going to get to 500 and then the project will end, but it didn't. I didn't really want it to. No. You know, I mean, obviously, I live in the world, and it started out people liked them, so I gave them away, and then obviously I'm a kind of an artist, so I sell them now. You know, so they've all gone off to quite a lot. You know, people send me pictures of them, but I got one on the Empire State Building.
Oh, seriously?
Another one in front of an iceberg. And I hate those little bastards. You know, they get everywhere.
Well, you're making too many of them. That's what the problem is.
So I don't think the project will ever end. I really don't. And I think it's kind of like a narrative project for me in a way. It tells the story of how one person feels when they sense that, you know, and I think that if they're anything, I make them very simply as well. I just make them with my fingers. I don't use tools either. It's really important for me to kind of feel the shape out, and every time I do it I feel like everyone that I've ever made and therefore ever seen is kind of embodied in the next object.
Are they of one particular animal? Is it like a fox that you've sort of befriended?
There's a few that I know that I've done a few times actually.
Right, yeah.
Definitely. Because I do I was very fortunate as well. I moved house a couple of years ago, and I did that kind of, you know, when you move to a new house and you're walking around, you're like, I'm in the new house. I have a picture up. Well, there's my picture. Yeah. And I didn't really know how to kind of read the space. And then I was sitting in the kitchen and the fox just walked into the kitchen. And I've been doing the project for about 4 years. So and then this fox, I realised this fox had mange, yeah? So its tail was kind of down to the bone. So I did some investigation, I got this kind of mange treatment. And then I kind of got it back to full health again. And then I made the decision to stop feeding it because I feel like that they can't trust us all, you know. So so kind of, it's weird though because I get a little. The last time I saw her was about 1.5 years ago, and she just stood in the garden. It was one of them kind of born free moments, you know. I was like, well, hello, you know, because I recognised her, and but it's weird because things end up at my door occasionally. Last week there was a cat skull right next to the back door. It's pretty gross actually. I had one whisker still on it. And I thought, And she'd given me gifts before.
Right,
because
really?
The things with foxes, they communicate.
So they're not like dogs, are they then?
No,
They just come to you for food. It's fun to build a relationship with you, obviously.
Yeah, I
Has a
think it's a relationship built on food though, and she told me that in crap, because I would put food out for meat-based food, and what she'd do is she'd eat it and then crap in the bowl.
Yeah.
But then one day I put pasta out and she crapped on the pasta. I tried it a few times and I thought, we're having a conversation here. This is the best conversation I've ever had.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Talking crap.
Yeah. Well, let's try not to do too much of that. So you're obviously you have a relationship with your subject matter, as well as the you talk about the tactile nature of the work that you do and getting down and making them pieces, but that relationship that you actually have with the animals themselves is obviously quite important as well.
Yeah, and it's not as close as that. I mean, I love swifts as well, and anybody who lives in Hastings, when the swifts come back, it's around this time of year, it's just an incredible moment. You notice the sound to begin with, because they make that kind of hissing sound, don't they, And then you notice them, they kind of make these kind of Vesper flights at night, don't they? And
much diminished numbers in the last few years.
There are, it was due to, I mean, a lot of the old buildings haven't, are going, and new buildings don't have eaves in the same way, do they? So that's a more distant relationship. That's more of a feeling. That's me with the binoculars trying to draw them, which is impossible. Which I love the fact that I can't draw them actually. But it's distant, but it feels I feel very connected to nature. We get a lot of badgers up our way as well. And they're hilarious, badgers, because they're just like teenagers rummaging around the bushes, and you don't really see them, but you know that they're there, So I do feel connected to.
So is this sort of like in town, or you sort of border a bit of countryside?
Well, we're up on the West Hills, so you kind of like, there is a little bit of that up there, and I mean, I guess that environment's perfect for sets and dens and things like that. And I'm from Norfolk, and I never saw a badger because it's all marshland. They just can't live there, really. So I think, maybe it's just about me. It doesn't make any difference to them whether I draw them or not. It's just the way I feel. I just feel like witnessing it.
So it's all by chance. You see a swift, so you say, right, I can't draw that badger, I'll draw that. Is there anything that you've not seen yet that you want to see, so you can sort of be inspired to draw it?
Well, the funny thing is like I always wanted to see a hooded crow, and I went to see my brother in Berlin, and they have loads of hooded crows there. Yeah. And I was like, great, got my sketch pad out. I thought, I always wanted to do a hooded crow, but I wouldn't allow myself to draw one because I'd never seen one.
Right. So it's got to be from life then?
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. So you took part in Coastal Currents last year as an Open Studios artist. And they asked you to do a mural. I've never seen, that must be a complete new sort of step for you, surely. How was that?
Yeah, it was a real step actually. But it was really good because the ones I did were near where I live, weren't they?
Had you done murals before?
Not legally, so the ones, it was the electricity boxes, the first ones, wasn't it? And we had 3 there. And it's up on the West Hill, and so I thought, obviously, I'll do a fox, a badger, and a swift, because they're kind of like, for me, the holy trinity of the West Hill, And it was just so great because, just kind of everybody kept coming out and chatting to me and bringing me cups of tea and all that kind of business, and it was a lovely. I did it with my daughter as well. She's about 17, and she's an incredible artist. I don't know where she gets it from. She's just amazing, and she did the badger as well. So it was a real family affair, And I was just really made up with just the positivity. Yeah. From that job, there's been other jobs that've been a little bit more complicated, haven't there?
So, did working on the streets on accessible art on a virtual... hang on, let's put my glasses on. Hang on. Virtually your own doorstep make you feel more connected with your community?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it really did. Yeah, I got loads of people talking to me. They liked what I was doing as well, I think. You know, you do get that kind of like you have to.
Were they spontaneous works, or did you sort of develop them, or did you sort of have plans in advance?
Yeah, they were based on drawings that I did, that I showed you, didn't I? And I really wanted to try and get the quality of the drawings into the murals, which was a challenge because obviously I had to learn how to use a different material.
So how was that? Was it spray cans and stuff like that?
I didn't use spray cans because I wanted to do it because when I draw, I tend to draw very, very detailed sort of. So my drawings take a long time actually, and I decided to do it with in the same method, but like with paintbrushes, you know, because I really wanted to build up the layering in a way that I was similar to the way that I work in my practice. I think, and also I kind of like I have done spray cans before in the past, but for me there's a little bit of a distance there. I really like the kind of the feel of the you know, you can really feel the materials. And
so I suppose the thing is you were commissioned to do that work, whereas when you're drawing or when you're moulding a piece of clay, that's a decision you make as a creative practitioner.
yeah.
So how that influence your work? Sort of all of a sudden been given a post box or a pillar box to paint. You got a different surface. It's not something you've decided, because I mean, as an artist myself, I know that I will apply a particular material because it makes particular sense to me.
And also, I think like you're right. You are right, because I think I'm going through that stage at the moment where I think all artists have to really review what they do. And I was talking to Jim about this earlier, and at the moment I'm very private about what I'm doing because it's mine at the moment, and it's a bit of a different. You know, it's very different. Like all work should be, it has to change. Whereas when you're commissioned to do a mural, that is an imposition on an environment right there. You're putting something there that that people have to. If they come to me and they say, "Oh, I really like that drawing," they've made a choice. Whereas if I'm doing a mural, they're going to have to like it or lump it, basically.
Did you get any negative response from those murals?
No, not them ones. So I got some like people were just bibbing and going, "Oh yeah, nice one, mate." You get the usual like, "At least it's something that I can see where it is." That kind of stuff. And it got really. It was like, if you do murals, right? This is what you have to say if too many people talk to you. My paint's drying, because you get some people come out and it's clearly they haven't got anything to do for the day, and they're talking to you and it's lovely, but you are trying to work as well, you know. So yeah, my paint's drying. I'm gonna have to get on. That's the one to use.
It's because you live in a sort of embracing environment. Because around our way, if you start doing murals, you'll just get nothing but abuse.
We did get a little one. I did this other mural, and that was quite interesting how that worked out. Not because of what I was doing, but it was they were developing this area, and the local residents didn't really want the building that was being built, and I was painting foxes and badgers and that on the hoarding in front, and it was really weird because most of the people who came up to me went, "Have you got permission?"
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, it's 30 feet long, it's 7 foot high, I'm 53, and I've got a really little brush nail. I'm Banksy.
Your kids are yeah, not sure. All right, let's move on to the work that you do with special needs. Because as I understand it, you work with special needs. Don't tell me you don't.
Well, yeah, I work with neurodiverse people at Project Artworks, which you might well know, and that is just I've been there for about 15 years now, I think.
Have you really?
think I have actually. Yeah, they've not noticed that I keep coming back. They should start paying me actually. But no, I love it. I work down in Tuesday Studios, but I'm currently doing art breaks where we work with neurodiverse children on the Saturdays, and yeah, it's fun. I was chatting to Jim earlier because I always pigeonhole him, and I just had this great experience this week where I worked this young lad. And he turned up, and I didn't know anything about him. He was non-verbal, and he just started playing with the sand. And I'm there, and I'm like, you're always like, even after all these years, you're like, God, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing there. You know, I've just been
how do I
born.
deal with that one? Yeah.
And then he got this paint, and he chucked it in. Then all of a sudden, he started sprinkling it around, and I was like, God, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my entire life. You know, you always get those kind of, every day I work there, every moment I get there, I get these incredible experiences that just, and what they do, I think, you know, hopefully it's great for them, but what they do for you is if you have got your door slightly wedged shut, they just open everything up and just let this incredible breeze through you. And you learn something new every time.
Yeah, I've worked with Project Artworks for many years, and it's but I think from an artist's point of view, it's this ability to allow them the freedom to explore their own ideas, perhaps. I don't know, just have the freedom to do that without you influencing what they do. So what you're saying there is when he comes and he drops his paint off, you know, you say, well, that's probably more informing your practice more than it is informing his practice.
Absolutely.
I mean, what can you give him, really?
Yeah, the teacher.
Apart from a clean brush and a colour paint, you know?
Yeah, it's basic, but don't tell anybody the job's as easy as that. Because we're really good at what we do.
Yeah. It's complicated. It's a complicated environment. I know from experience.
It is. You've been a great supporter of us over the years. You know, you have.
Am I?
You've been a great partner to us.
Good. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
It's good to know. Thank
You're
you for that.
more involved in the past.
Yeah. Ask me a question. So, how does that work and that experience influence your work? Does it influence your work at all, or is it just a day out? A day out your studio, I should say.
I think it just opens me up. You know, I think sometimes, I don't know what other people think, but as an artist, you can get focused on a path, you know, and I think the best work comes, I feel at the moment really excited about what I'm doing, and it feels like there's loads of little branches coming out, you know, and I don't know where anything's going to go, but you can, you know, for one reason or another, you, like anybody, you can sort of narrow the path down and focus on a certain thing, which is okay. But I think what working with neurodiverse people really does for me is it just, like I say, it just opens me up completely, and I just feel like, wow, anything's possible, you know. And like I say, just a couple of days, or Sunday today, yesterday, I was completely surprised more than I've ever been before, and that just happens all the time. So you can't help but make you think a lot more freely, I guess. You'd hope.
Yeah, it's an inspirational environment. So you make miniatures from matchsticks and even tiny spaceships.
Right,
What's
okay.
next?
I was going to get her to get that question off.
Right, yeah. So
some
spaceships.
things-
What's tiny spaceships? What's all about?
Right, so some things are dead ends, aren't they? You know, I'm a great believer in making whatever I think I should want to at any time. So there are certain things in my collection like that I've made, and obviously my Cowboys on Dinosaurs as well, which are just for me. At the moment, I'm a bit of a collector as well. So I collect. One of my collections is churches that people have made out of matchsticks, and I've realised that I've got them all now, I think. So I've started to make them.
It's a great Romney Marsh project.
Yeah. One of my next ones is going to be a Romney Marsh one, actually, because I'm making church. So I go and photograph the churches and draw them from the different angles, and then try and make the church.
That one with the twisted spire.
Yeah. But it's really weird because I kind of thought it was a bit of a hobby thing, but they're actually starting to inform the new work that I'm doing. The spaceship thing just didn't go anywhere. That I just had to get out and system. I went to a Stanley Kubrick exhibition.
Right, okay, here we go.
Then I found a box with my Space 1999 toys in. Anybody remember Space 1999? And I was like, I've got to make some spaceships. And then I had like a month of just doing that, just making ceramic spaceships.
So you're just a child making things, aren't you, really?
Yeah, child making things.
Into.
Yeah. But then it didn't go anywhere, you know, they're in some
No.
box again. But the Matchstick Church thing is, weirdly, because I thought it was just a collection, it's going into
It's
something
quite a deviation
else.
from animals, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think the hat, it's kind of like the next thing I'm doing is kind of, it's going to do with housing things. So I think the kind of skills, I'm a bit of I love bad carpentry as well. So I think the animals and the housing of the animals thing is gonna come together at some point.
So what ideas have you got for the Christmas show at the Blackshear Gallery this year?
Yeah, which is just said to be against. Before I come, I goes, do you want a Christmas show? And your flies are undone. Just trying to throw me off.
I guess we're not going to know, are we? We're not going to know what's next.
It's going to be it's going to be snowy country scenes, isn't it?
I might really think that one.
No, I mean it could be the things that I'm thinking about at the moment are kind of to do with. It's really weird because Rowan was talking about taxidermy, and I had this really fortuitous thing happen. Another fox visited me, and over my allotment, I found in the corner the complete skeleton of a fox that just been. I don't know how long it'd been there. It must have been there ages. And I think it's probably a fox that I knew. And I kind of I thought, what am I going to do with it? And then I was thinking a lot about kind of reliquaries, you know, these kind of beautiful things they make for housing the bones of the saints, you know, these Catholic reliquaries, you know, they're really good. It's exhibition ones. And it was really, because I went round, I counted, they had 25 of them there, which claimed to house a nail from the One True Cross. I mean, Jim's probably...
You can buy them off eBay.
Yeah, Jim's probably better. I mean, only took 3, didn't it, really? You know, and I thought about it, and I thought that's kind of absurd. But then I thought, well, there's kind of beauty to that, the fact that people are creating these incredible things to house these objects. And then so I kind of got the fox and stripped it all down, counted all the bones, and there was about 170 bones there, yeah? Wow. And I thought, well, maybe I need to maybe that's an idea. So I've literally just finished this kind of reliquary for one of the teeth. And it's kind of I think it's quite an interesting idea to kind of create something to venerate tiny objects like that. So I was quite interested in what Ryan was talking about.
So is this what you're not telling anybody about at the moment then?
No, it's not actually. It's not, no. I'll try. It's not that secret.
So I take it you're in Coastal Currents again this year, are you?
Yeah, I'm going to try and do that, I reckon, yeah. Got another exhibition coming up in June as well, which is going to be at the 1200 postcards upstairs there, which I usually get a shimmy on with. Yeah, and obviously start thinking about Christmas now.
Good. Well, as ever, it's a delight to speak to you.
Oh, thank you.